Janet, the one thing that I've learned is that people fill out these cards for one of three reasons. The first may be that you've never prepaid for your burial or your cremation, or that maybe you have no insurance for that. The second, a lot of folks do have these little insurance policies, and they're really hoping to add to the insurance if it's affordable, of course. And the third, well, some people have it all taken care of, but they want to see if they can either, get a better deal than what they have, or they just want to make sure that the family doesn't get stuck having to come out of pocket, when that day comes. So Janet, of these three, where do you fit in? I'm Doug Massi, and today I'm going to show you how to make a solid and strong final expense sales presentation. But first, this is when I'm going to ask you to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe with the notifications turned on. We're putting out new content every week. And guys, if you stick around until the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to get a copy of the Overcoming Objections super file, which is scripts on overcoming objections while door knocking leads, calling to set appointments, and even how to deal with, the people that might tell you, they have to think about it, or they got to speak with their cousin Joe first, whatever the excuse is. And what you just heard was one of the more popular ways that many face-to-face agents will start their final expense sales presentation. And this is pretty similar, pretty much the exact same thing that I teach my agents to do. We call this the 3 reasons presentation, which is probably the oldest way of getting the client to admit that they, A, have a need for the insurance, and B, understand that you are there for a reason. Guys, the whole idea of having a solid presentation is so that, in the end, you run through the whole presentation, and when that time comes, instead of the client having to think about it or give you an excuse why they don't want to buy today, they simply pick an option, sign on the dotted line, and maybe even hand you a voided check. So let's go step by step. Once I've gotten the prospect to actually admit that they have a need for the insurance, I always dig around and find out exactly who the person is that's going to have to deal with that mess that the prospect, is going to be leaving behind. Who's the person that's going to come in and take care of the cremation or the funeral, and who will most likely end up getting stuck with the bill. So Janet, when you do pass away, who is the person that will most likely be responsible to have to come here and take care of everything? Oh, your daughter Robin. Okay, good. Now I understand. So just to be sure here, the idea is to make sure that she doesn't have to come out of pocket, and kind of get stuck having to pay the bill for everything when you're gone. Am I right? So now they've admitted to the need, and you've even narrowed it down to the beneficiary. And since you've got their name, you're going to want to use it throughout the rest of the presentation. The next step is to start building as much rapport as humanly possible, while you're separating who you are, who we are, and what we do from all the other insurance agents that have either, been there already, or that will definitely, be coming in behind you. The best way to start this process is by sharing your personal commercial. A personal commercial is a short story about you and your family, and maybe how you got into the insurance business, and you kind of want to round the story off and end it by sharing how you love what you do, and how not only are you the only person who will be at the funeral with a check to pay for it, but how at the end of the day you'll be getting a really good night's sleep because your job is all about helping out people and their families. You'll also want to share that you are not like the other insurance agents who work for some big expensive company and have to push their expensive products, but instead how you make all the insurance companies work for you, for the client, and by the way, by the time we're finished today, ma'am, my personal guarantee is that no one else will be able to walk through that door and give you a better deal on your whole life insurance. First, I'm going to ask you some specific questions about your health Then based on what you tell me, that's how I'm going to find the best price company for you. Then we're simply going to show you some affordable options, real easy. Once you've asked all the medical questions, and hopefully you have a good underwriting medical questions page like the one that our agents use, and you can always shoot me an email and I'll give that to you. And you've gotten like all the clients' medications written down along with how, you know, they've been taking the medication, how long they've been taking it, and you found out what form of payment they're going to use. That's really important. You know, of course, you know, based on their Social Security income. Then you do the field underwriting, which basically you're going to pull out the medication guide for your main carrier, and if you're one of my agents, you'll pull out my custom 10 carrier cheat sheet that will actually direct you to the best carrier, you know, that's based on that client's health situation. So now you're helping the client, you're giving them the best product, and you're actually making the highest commission you can make too. And you'll figure out if the medication they prescribed is directing you to give a level, graded, or modified, or possibly you may even have to switch to a guaranteed issue death benefit. While I'm doing the underwriting, I've already directed the clients to go get their reading glasses and have handed them a laminated copy of I Am Your Policy with the 8 reasons seniors purchase final expense insurance on the backside. And I tell them, hey guys, I need you to read both pages. This is really important from top to bottom. This will help to keep them occupied, think about it, while you're doing the field underwriting and while you're writing down the 5 different face amounts for them to choose from. Real important, guys. That bottom option should never be below $50, and forget about using 3 options. I highly recommend going with 5 options. At this point, we're going to do the most important part of the presentation, the close. But first, this is when you're going to want to pull out your guarantees of whole life insurance and read it to them line by line. You should have it laminated. The idea is to do several things. First, you want to eliminate the term life nonsense that could come up, you know, that excuse. You know, I like to tell them that what I'm doing today is completely different from all the bait and switch life insurance nonsense that they're seeing on TV and getting in the mail, and, you know, especially those nonstop phone calls. I can relate, ma'am. I love this part of the bottom where it says this is not like term insurance where the price goes up and the policy expires at a certain age, and now you and your family get nothing in return. Before I get into the close, let's think about what I've done so far. First, the client is actually admitted to needing the insurance. And, you know, they've even told you about the loved one that they are trying to take the burden away from, right? Second, their security wall is lowered because you've been building lots and lots of rapport, and now they're starting to actually trust you. Third, they understand that there is no need for them to shop around and think about it because that's exactly what you just did for them. And finally, you've overcome the term life objection before it even came up. By doing all of this, you have most likely just eliminated all and/or any objections up front just by making an awesome presentation. Again, I like to price out 5 face amount options, you know, death benefit options. I'll read them out loud, line by line to the client, and I will use a pen to direct their eyes. You know, I'm going to use the pen to point at what I'm reading out, the death benefit options. And at the end, I'm simply saying, so Janet, of the 5 monthly payment options, which can you afford? Now, Janet, what I've done is written out 5 death benefit options for you. The first is the $35,000 for $155. The second is $30,000 for $133 per month. The third is $20,000 for $112 per month. The fourth option, your daughter Carolyn will receive $15,000 and it's for $90 a month. And finally, $12,000 for $69 per month. So Janet, of the 5 death benefit options, which can you squeeze each month? This is when you zip it, don't say a word or you lose, and just let them speak. Then whatever comes out of their mouth, I either address and possibly remind them that I know that the last thing they want is for their daughter Robin to be stuck with having to come up with all that money for her mom's funeral. And, you know, this is when maybe I'll say, can I make a suggestion? Guys, they always say, sure, yes, why not? then I'll say something like, well, let's just start with the bottom option, that bottom face amount option. That way, well, at least the bare minimum can be paid for, and your lovely daughter Robin's last thoughts of you won't be, wow, mom stuck me with the funeral bill. And guys, at least this will be enough to take care of the bare minimum. So most cases and most of the times when I do this, they're like, okay, we can do that. And then I'll say, oh, excellent. Go ahead and grab your ID or your driver's license, please. And of course, if they just pick an option, I'll say the same thing. Excellent. Go ahead and grab your ID or your driver's license for me, please. One more thing, guys. Now that you've made the sale, you're going to have to fill out the application. You're going to collect their payment information, and just make sure, and this is your pro tip of the day, just make sure to set up the ongoing drafts based on the exact day that they receive their Social Security benefits. And no matter what they tell you, do not allow them to make the mistake of convincing you to set up the payment for like the day after, or a couple days later, or any day other than the exact day that they receive their Social Security benefits. Because if you do this and you just lay down and allow them, the client, to tell you when to draft, you will probably have more clients that actually fall off the books than actually stay with you. And instead of having a really good, successful career, you'll probably just end up in debt. One last tip. I always lead with a carrier that does true Social Security billing. Most companies still do not do this. I mean, more and more are coming around to it. But if you think you know what this means, just hang on a minute, because you might just learn something. And believe me, I've had agents that have been in the business for years not realize this, because this could actually be the difference between your success or your failure at final expense sales. When your client's Social Security income date falls on the weekend or a holiday, did you know that they're actually going to get paid their Social Security money or their veterans pay or disability pay on the business day prior, before the weekend or holiday? Carriers like Prosperity, with that new Vista product, will actually draft the payment on that exact day, even if it's before the 3rd or the 1st, and no matter what. Meanwhile, companies like Mutual of Omaha will actually wait until after the weekend or holiday, and then they're going to draft the payment. Meanwhile, here's the problem, guys. Our super low fixed income clients may have already cleaned out their checking account so that they can, go buy food and pay their other bills. If you'd like a copy of the Overcoming Objections super file that I mentioned a little while ago in this video, or specifically any of the sales materials that I mentioned in the video, I'll hook you up with them too. Just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. For more information on selling final expense, whether face-to-face or over the phone, we've got a great platform, and or even other life insurance or Medicare products. As a truly independent insurance agent, just shoot me an email at that same address. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.